Why You Feel Poor Even When Your Bank Account Says Otherwise, at around 1,300 words. Your bank account says you're fine. So why does it feel like you're not? You check the balance. The number is decent. Maybe even better than decent. And yet a familiar tightness sits in your chest anyway, the same tightness you'd expect if the number were much smaller. This isn't about the money. Not really. The real answer is far stranger. Feeling poor and being poor turn out to be almost entirely separate systems in your brain, and one of them barely checks your actual bank balance at all. Let that sit for a second. In 2010, the psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Angus Deaton studied the relationship between income and emotional well-being using survey data from hundreds of thousands of Americans. Their finding became famous. Emotional well-being rose with income, but only up to a point, after which more money stopped making people feel meaningfully better day to day. Beyond that threshold, income kept climbing while the feeling of financial ease essentially flatlined. That alone is strange. But it gets stranger. Because feeling poor doesn't track your actual balance. It tracks something else entirely: comparison. The economist Erzo Lutmer ran a study showing that people's reported happiness dropped when their neighbors' incomes rose, even while their own income stayed exactly the same. Nothing changed in their bank account. Something changed in their sense of how much that bank account was worth. Have you noticed this? The same salary can feel generous in one social circle and thin in another. Your brain isn't running the math on your actual purchasing power. It's running a constant, silent comparison against whoever is nearby. This is where the psychologist Shai Davidai's research adds another layer. Davidai has studied what he calls the mobility illusion, the sense that other people move up in life more smoothly than we do. His work shows people tend to remember their own financial setbacks vividly, but forget or downplay the setbacks of others. So when you compare your bumpy, effortful climb to what looks like everyone else's smooth ascent, you come away feeling behind. Even when the underlying numbers don't support that conclusion. Which means feeling poor isn't really about scarcity. It's about a distorted scoreboard. Then there's a third mechanism, one rooted deeper than comparison. The psychologist Roy Baumeister and colleagues found that financial stress lingers in the mind long after the immediate crisis passes, a kind of residue that keeps triggering caution even once circumstances improve. Your nervous system doesn't instantly update the moment your bank balance does. It keeps bracing, like a smoke alarm that keeps beeping after the smoke has cleared, because the danger felt real enough to leave a mark. So even with a healthy balance today, a difficult financial stretch from a year ago, or 5 years ago, or childhood, can still be quietly running in the background. Your account recovered. Your nervous system's threat detector didn't get the memo yet. Put these three findings together and the picture becomes clear. Comparison resets your sense of enough, based on whoever is nearest to you. Memory distorts how smooth other people's paths look next to your own. And past scarcity leaves a lingering alarm system that outlives the circumstances that created it. None of these systems check your actual bank balance. They run on relative position, distorted memory, and old threat signals. Your account number is almost a footnote to all three. Why would your brain be built this way? Because for nearly all of human history, enough wasn't measured against an abstract number. It was measured against the people physically around you. If your neighbor in a small tribe had more meat, more shelter, more resources, that mattered immediately and directly. Your survival was tied to your position within that small group, not to some universal standard of wealth. Comparison wasn't a character flaw. It was a survival tool, constantly checking whether you were falling behind the group that would decide whether you got help in hard times. Modern life keeps that ancient comparison engine running, except now it's fed non-stop by neighbors, co-workers, and strangers online who are curated to look better off than they are. Davidai's mobility illusion isn't a coincidence. It's what happens when an evolved for small tribes comparison system meets a world of infinite strangers to compare yourself to. So what do you do with a brain that measures wealth by comparison instead of by numbers? The researchers don't point toward earning more, because Kahneman and Deaton's data suggests that alone won't fix the feeling. They point somewhere quieter. Since comparison is the engine driving most of this, deliberately narrowing your field of comparison, muting the accounts, skipping the highlight reels, tends to do more for financial contentment than a raises ever does. And since old financial stress leaves a lingering alarm, some researchers suggest treating persistent money anxiety less like a math problem and more like a nervous system that needs evidence, repeated over time, that the danger has actually passed. Next time you check your balance and feel that tightness despite a number that should be reassuring, pause for a second. Ask what you were just comparing yourself to. A coworker's new car. A friend's vacation photos. A memory of a harder year that hasn't fully let go yet. That tightness was never really about the number on the screen. It's your brain, running an ancient comparison engine in a world it was never built for, still checking your position against a tribe that no longer exists the way it used to. You're not bad with money. You're just running old software on a completely new game.